So why do you know that you can help people?
Why do I know? The main reason is my experience, actually. Over 25 years, having helped many people, really helped many people in a very profound and deep way. People come to me for therapy because they have some seemingly smallish problem, but often they have that tended to, and then after that they don't want to go away. They don't want to leave because they want to use the skills they've learned and what they've learned, particularly about their own minds, so that they can get a greater amount of satisfaction out of life and be happier. So I've done that with a lot of people where it's a kind of an extended therapy, really, because actually quite often the original problem just fades away quite quickly. It doesn't seem much to the person after a while. When they get interested, I introduce them to possibilities of how they can really live their lives and have a great life.
And why do you think you are in particularly suited to this job?
I think the main reason is I've done my own work on myself, actually, to tell you the truth, because when I did my training, one reason I was attracted to it was because one of the requirements was to do my own therapy, which I thought I needed it. I didn't think I didn't need it, but I wasn't that interested or that thrilled about it. But when I started doing my own therapy, I really learned and came to understand that one needs to have done a lot of work on oneself, actually, to be able to really affect and people's minds and penetrate to where the real problems are and help them change.
Do you ever prescribe or believe in medication for problems like depression or...
No, I don't prescribe because I'm not a doctor, but I do believe in some instances when people are really in trouble with depression that medication can help them. Definitely. It can help them at least come up out of the depths of their depression and feel a bit lighter and a little bit more functional for a while. But as far as a long-term answer, no, I don't. And in fact, I've become quite well known for helping people come slowly off their medication, and the reason is the people who come to me, they've had success with medication, but they can't let go of it, and that's one reason. The second reason is they know deeply inside themselves that they're not quite right. They always say that they feel foggy, they feel they're not quite with life, and that's actually something that is quite interesting, and it can be worked with slowly to help people really let go finally of that medication, which affects the brain, actually. And it works in that way, but it doesn't really do much else. It helps people change their patterning, which is very helpful.
How did you first get interested in this kind of work?
I first became interested when I look back when I was very young. I remember being 4 years of age in a large family, and I always remember how I couldn't bear to see my siblings, my sisters and my brother, in trouble or unhappy. And anybody and everybody, actually, I just had that thing inside me, and I'd always try and help them. And they all looked at me like a good little kid and so nice and all of that kind of thing. And I learned later, my father told my sister, I learned a lot later, he said that I was like a wise old owl when I was 3. So that's what he thought anyway. So that kind of gave me an indication of, I already had something there that was operating. And then it was really having children is what changed me to become interested in looking at what happens by becoming a mother to the children, and I could see in my own mothering that I wasn't perfect, and I could see both of my children being affected by my imperfection and my ignorance. And so I really wanted to change that. That was a very important thing to me at the time. So then I started reading and talking to people and forming groups with women who had their children, and it kind of grew from there until I decided to do some proper training. Once I had done a bit of work in groups just on a very kind of casual basis, and also being with mothers and children a lot. And I started to get some insight, and I thought I want to learn more about this. And so then I did, through a friend whose husband was a therapist, she suggested I do this training. So I started the somatic psychotherapy training.
And what does that entail?
That entailed, well, actually, along with that and just before that, I've missed out a very important part. I met a person at Sydney University who was a child education expert, we could call him. And he introduced me to the whole journey of child development. And I joined a course that he was doing that went for 4 years. And he taught me how to observe children. So that excited me. And then I found out that I could do some training as a somatic psychotherapist, because I learned a lot about children who are tiny and in their bodies, and everything is movement for children, and I was very interested in that. So this somatic psychotherapy training fitted with that beautifully. So then I began at this school or organisation, and it took 4 years of official training and study. And then I did with various of my trainers, actually, supervision when I started working as a therapist. So I did probably 8 years of supervision, and then I felt I was ready to be on my own.
People here, especially, are going to ask you if you have the secret to happiness. Mm-hmm. And do you think that you do?
Well, it's not a secret, I don't think, but I do understand the happiness that can be achieved, put it that way. And really that is because of the work I do, and because of how I have involved myself in my own life with becoming happy. And I've done a lot of work around that, study and self-observation, and a lot of change. And I do understand it for me, but I think everybody has their own way. Happiness is of the mind, and I think I'm coming to understand that real happiness that is unconditionally abiding and sitting there, we have to do a lot more than just fix up our problems or be nice or whatever it is. And in my own little experience with things like contemplation, meditation, doing particular yogic and breathing exercises, I must say the result of those have caused a more abiding happiness. It doesn't mean to say I've found the answer to happiness, but I feel happier for longer if I'm actually occupied in those kind of pursuits.
Now, in the busy life everyone leads, people will say, I don't have time. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to do yoga. I don't have time for any of that. So if people have no time, do they have time to be happy?
They probably won't achieve that necessarily because, the problem is they might be happy now, but things change, and it's a very conditional happiness. So you really have to be able to be happy innerly. That's what I found out. I just found that out myself, and I know other people who are doing that. And when you talk about time, I just don't believe it. It depends on how much you want it, but you don't really know how to get it, so you might not want it. But if it's about spending, I talk to people a lot about spending half an hour at the gym, for instance, those people who really want to get fit. or just walking or whatever it is, doing some exercise, and I don't have time. So we go through the whole day. Okay, how's your time? There are 24 hours in a day. That can't be right. Sure enough, immediately we find out lots of time is there. We make ourselves busy because we need to be distracted because we're unhappy. So can change that. I get up at 4 a.m. and that's the beginning of my day. And I do, before I start my work, I've done a 5-hour day, doing all my things and exercise, and I go down to the river every morning and I do my yoga, and I keep very fit for my age anyway. And that's very important. Why? Number one, it helps me be stronger to help people, but number two, it makes me happier. I feel better.